Hello, 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 and welcome to the show. This is a show all about the art of filmmaking. We're going to be analysing the magic of movie making and showing you, the viewer, just how the moving picture works. Today we have an action-packed lineup. We're going to be talking to Dylan about lighting and how to set up lights. We're going to be reviewing some affordable equipment which every filmmaker can use and is key to making film. And we are going to be talking to Anthony McDonough about his recent producing work on the film Groundless, which has just finished production, as well as his work writing and direction. And for a very special treat for you today, we're going to be talking to Conor Armstrong Samfy in an interview that we did with him recently to talk about his new movie Lift and how the industry works as a whole. That's what we have in store for you today, so without further ado, let's take it over to the chair and get started. You're going to go through lighting with us today, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, well, if you'd like to get started and tell us what the story is.
Today we'll be learning about three-point lighting.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very simple technique and it's very useful and basic. We'll start off, I'll hand it over to my lovely assistants, Conor and Shane.
Two beautiful, beautiful assistants, I can see, yes.
They'll start by turning on our two blondes,
Okay.
RE blondes, to light up the background. And we've put colour gels on them, just to give it
a bit of nice look. It looks very nice, yeah. Nice,
give it a better quality look.
Yeah.
And now we'll switch on to our two RE pups, or
Okay.
300s, just to fill in the spots that the blonde doesn't quite cover.
So it gives it a bit of a depth and
Gives
background
it
to
depth
it,
and
does it?
everything, yeah.
Okay.
And then their second point in our three-point lighting is key light, which is we're using our RE redhead.
Okay.
Shane will turn on now.
And what's the key light for?
It's just to give the main light onto your subjects.
Okay.
It's
Main source of the light for okay.
And we've put diffusion on it because without diffusion it looks very sharp and strong.
And it kind of softens up the look, does it?
Yeah, and we can see now, as Shane will demonstrate, without the diffusion, what it looks like.
Oh.
It's very bright and uncomfortable to be in.
It's very bright, yes.
And if he puts it back on, you'll see that it's much
that's a
better.
lot nicer, yes, I can see that.
And it's easier for people to work in and everything like that.
Definitely.
And we go to our third point then, which is our fill light, which Conor will turn on now. And basically this light is just to get rid of any shadows that we have on this side of our faces.
So the key light would be hitting you, and then that light would be used to take away shadows.
Yeah, it just gives it a better quality and everything like that.
Right.
Gives it overall better look. And then Shane will turn on our final light. This is just a small 150 pop.
A hair light, is it? Just
it's just to fill in the background just a little bit more, just give it the final touch.
Okay, very nice. Well, thank you very much,
Thank
Dylan.
you, Wiltshire.
Thanks for joining us and
No
going
problem at
through lighting. So next up, we are going to welcome Anthony McDonough to the chair for an exclusive interview with him. So please, if Anthony, you'd come along and sit down with me. How's it going, Anthony?
Hi, how are you?
Not too bad,
Nice to meet you.
not too bad. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks very much.
So I'm just going to go through a few little questions for you, so just to get to know you and what your aspect of filmmaking is. You were producing on the film,
that's exactly it, yeah.
so I'm just going to go through a few questions and you just say whatever comes to you.
Yeah.
So first off, how did you decide you wanted to become a filmmaker?
Well, I was 18 and I was doing the Leaving Cert and I wasn't really sure what to do. So I just ended up going to the cinema one day and I saw Black Swan there. Thought it was a really brilliant film, so I was like,
Oh, it's a very good film.
maybe I'll do something in film, and I just put down film and broadcasting on the CAO.
Excellent. So, so as you were saying, you were a producer on the film Groundless. What was that producing role like on the film?
It's a lot of organising. It's sort of all the stuff that happens before the actual film is made on the day. It's getting actors involved and it's getting your crew, make sure you have your equipment, budget, just sort of all
Location
sort of organising. Locations as well, yeah.
Very stressful, I'd say.
It's a little bit stressful, yeah.
And in terms of actually on set, you don't do much on set, do you?
On set, I did very little. I had two production assistants who were just helping out, which were sort of just getting batteries, bringing them over and back, and I was sort of just organising catering on the days and getting actors to sign release forms. Okay,
very interesting, very interesting. So, and next question is, how did you get the role of producer on Groundless?
For producer, I just pitched to the director. I've directed before, and like I've always really appreciated the work that a producer puts in, so I decided I'd sort of almost try and return the favour and just offer to produce for Emer, and she said yes.
And did you have a good relationship with Emer?
Yeah.
Was that an important thing to have?
It's definitely stressful. Like, we butted heads a good few times about the work that we were doing, but it was always to make the film better. And yeah, I'd say I'd definitely work with her again.
Excellent, excellent. So my next question for you is just to tell me a little bit about the film.
So Groundless is about a single mother, and it's about how she's struggling to instill good moral values in her children and keep them away from the lure of the city streets.
Oh, I see. Very interesting topic. Very interesting topic. And how did you find making the film? What was it like? How were the cast and the crew?
The cast and crew were brilliant. It was definitely stressful at times. With casting, there were about 10 main characters in the film, so it was actually a struggle just to find all these people, and some of them were kids, and it was tough to sort of get kids that were both good at acting, but then also willing for their parents to take them out of school for the weeks, things like that.
And how long did the casting process take?
Well, I was producing for about 2 months, and even in the final week of the shoot, I was still casting. We had someone drop out
Oh, really?
last minute, so then it was even then just last minute trying to sort of do emergency castings for the film. So pretty much 2 months.
Did you get it sorted?
We got it sorted all as well. We cast at about 8 o'clock on the Thursday night, and then Friday morning, a kid from Cork got up at like 5:30 and drove up to us on set.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Fair play to him. Fair play to him. So, similar enough again, were there any issues or challenges that were presented to you during producing?
Casting was obviously one of them. Even just fundraising was difficult.
Can you go through a bit of fundraising?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, we started with a bake sale, and we were delighted with that. We made like 200 in a day, and then we set up a funded as well, and that was for other people who were interested, just to fundraise, give some money to the film and get some rewards in return. And then there were a few other things we tried, didn't really work out. We thought we had a brilliant idea of a potato sandwich sale. We made like €35 that day, so it wasn't so brilliant, but we had a lot of bread left over, so got a lot of sandwiches ourselves for the crew.
Fair enough.
But yeah, it was just lots of just small things. We had a table quiz as well, and that made a good bit of money.
So various aspects into raising the money needed to make a film, because it is quite a costly process, isn't it?
It is, yeah. We raised about €2,500,
Jesus.
and then we need to make about 600 more now.
Okay. So still going on.
Still going on.
Still
This
going
world's
on.
not quite finished, but
And would you do it again? Would you do producing again?
I would do it again if I was working for the right people. I really enjoyed working with everyone I was working with, but it's definitely something that's very stressful. So it's making sure that you're actually working with people you like and on a project you like. So, but I think I'd do it again.
Okay. Excellent. So is there any other role in film that you're interested in?
I'd actually probably mainly be interested in writing and maybe directing, but writing is definitely my favourite part of filmmaking.
And have you written many pieces?
I've written a few things here and there. Most recently, I wrote something called Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, which was a short 3-minute script. And it was just about a boy in a sort of a post-apocalyptic world where he finds a woman trapped underneath some rubble, but he finds that he's not actually strong enough to get her out from underneath the rubble. So it's just about sort of 3 days where he finds her there.
And would you have any tips for somebody who's trying to write? Because it can be a bit of a daunting process, you know, writing. Like if you're not happy with it, you might start again, or even getting something finished is an issue.
Yeah, it's mainly the thing that writing is rewriting. You're never going to write the perfect strip straight away, and it's just rewriting. Like I found that whenever I've written, it's because I've had to do it because of an assignment, and then I'm enjoying it. But unless I actually have a deadline coming up, it's not something I do. So it's just actually making the time to sit down, write,
getting it
and
done.
then get back to it.
So who would be some of your influences when you're writing?
I
do you have
don't
any?
really have any huge influences. I sort of just take from everyone and everything. If I'm watching a film, sometimes I'll just like wonder how it was actually written, and I'll have a look at that. So like there was the Steve Jobs film that came out recently. I didn't really enjoy the film, but there was a cool sort of sequence where it was cutting between an argument and then cutting back to an earlier argument between the same two characters. So I was just sort of like wondering, I wonder how they wrote that. So it's just having a look at that script, or looking at the script for Wall-E, for example, like no dialogue in that. So I wanted to see how that was written.
Sure, borrowing from other people can help you in your own.
Absolutely, yeah.
Excellent. And in terms of directing, because you said you were interested in directing as well, would you have any influences in that, or on your style? Or
it's sort of grabbing from everything, and I find even that things I usually don't like in films, I've actually done myself, and I'm enjoying it more. I know that in second year I directed a short film, and I had no time on the day, so we were cutting loads of shots, so everything was just sort of almost one take and then cut to the next scene, and it would all be one take. And it's not something I'd enjoy, and people are like, oh, that was an interesting decision. I'm like, it wasn't, I just ran out of time. But it was like sort of interesting
Decisions
to
have to be
experiment
made.
with it. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So your last question of the day.
Okay.
What's your plans for Grounders once it's finished production, and are there any festivals you have your eye on?
Right now it is being edited, so our editor's just upstairs actually, and she's working on that at the moment. And yep, we're sending it off to as many festivals as we can really. Galway Film Festival is the first one on our list.
Of course.
But yeah, this week we're like sort of looking into all the festivals there and looking into raising money for them as well.
Okay, cool. Thanks for coming in, Auntie.
Thanks very much for having me.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Okay, so next up on our show, we're going to be reviewing some equipment that could be used for any filmmaker, and it's the foundation of how a filmmaker goes about their craft. So I'd like to welcome Maureen in, please. Hello, Maureen. How are you?
I'm not too bad. How are you, Quilja?
Not too bad, not too bad at all. So we have equipment here that you're going to go through with us and help us explain what they do. So first off, we have the Canon EOS 5D.
Yep, just this lovely piece of machinery here. At the moment, this is kind of industry standard for amateur to low budget filmmakers. It's not cheap. It's it goes for about €2,800 at the market at the moment, but
Quite expensive.
it's quite an expensive camera, but for a very good reason. It's a very good camera.
It is industry standard, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's at a constant aperture of 4, which is really nice. You can get really nice shots with that, like shallow depth of field. Very beautiful looking shots with it. This particular camera is mounted with the 24 to 105mm lens, which pretty much cover wide shots and really nice cropped zooms. As with most Canons, they're actually very nice for picking up sensitivity. They'd work well.
It looks like there's a nice
light.
weight to it, very mobile.
Yeah, it's very lightweight. It's why it works for the lower budget filmmakers who might not have massive transport for all their productions, and it's nice and easy to carry around. You might get a massive case for it with all your lenses and all your other little bits and pieces, or you could probably carry it as is in a camera bag.
Excellent.
And it's nice straps for going around your neck, but I wouldn't really recommend that for a film. That's more photography, which this is also very, very good for.
Yeah.
So
So
it's a good camera to start out
good
in the
piece of
industry with.
equipment.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, well that's the Canon 5D. So we'll put that one down and we'll move on to the Roxen camera stabilizers. So if I can please have that, thank you very much.
Yep.
So this is the Roxen camera stabilizer. It's used for very fluid shots. If you're walking around and want to get some nice cool shots, it's used for that because it has a nice weight to it and a nice balance.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I would, and these are actually designed for smaller cameras again, so the iPhone on this suits it quite nicely. Any phone that's kind of lighter than £2, I'd say, fit quite nicely. GoPros and the like. As you can see there, you can get some nice kind of
Tipping shots.
steady movement there. That if you were just going handheld, hands get shaky and they go everywhere. But this is quite nice for that. It's quite a comfortable grip on it as well, which is good.
And it would come in at about the 60 to 70
It
euro
would
range.
indeed, but it's a good investment, especially if
You're on the move.
You're on the move.
Filming.
You have a smaller camera. It's definitely something I'd recommend.
Excellent. Okay.
I'll
Well,
hand
we
that back
can
over to Lauren there.
hand that back over. There you are. Thank you very much. So next up we have the GoPro. So do you want to go through this GoPro with us?
Yep, this is the GoPro Hero 4 Silver. It's very lightweight, little durable camera. It actually shoots in 4K. You wouldn't think it, but this shoots at the highest possible resolution that we actually have at the moment. And it's very, very durable camera. It's used by lots of stunts now, stuntmen, motorcyclists, snowboarding, airsoft, that kind of thing. And it has various mounts. You can mount it, chest pieces, helmets, anything. It's waterproof, which is very, very handy. So,
Bang it anywhere, drop
Yep.
it, it's fine.
and nice fits like SD cards in there. At the moment, these are going for about €500 on their website.
So it is a bit expensive, but it's a good investment if you want to get those shots where
you
you're
could get very interesting
in
point of view
sports,
shots.
or if you want to get a nice
Yep.
POV shot.
I've seen actually this being used on a TV show before, and it did work quite well for them. It was for a chase scene and just made it that bit more dramatic. So
And I think they're starting to use it in films now as well.
they are indeed, yeah, and it's such a small device and can do so much. So if you're starting out in filmmaking and action filmmaking, anything like that, it's definitely something you'd pick up for your kit bag.
Okay, well that is the GoPro Hero 4. So we're going to move on to the GorillaPod here. Now, the GorillaPod is a very handy thing to use. It can get you anywhere really with a camera, can't it?
It's very much more flexible than a tripod. I mean, it can act as one, most definitely, but it can do things like this and go flat on the ground. You can actually hook it onto things like staircases or maybe pieces of moving equipment and just, it's completely
And you can use
flexible.
it as a stabilizer as well if you need to like put it against your body. And
Yeah, absolutely. It's got quite a few possibilities to it, and again, a lot of filmmaking with stuff like this is toying with it and seeing what you can do with it. And
that would be about 30 quid.
yep, and it's a
around that
very
mark.
in terms of film equipment, it's a really small price to pay for something that you could get a lot out
A
of.
lot of production value on that.
And by the looks of it, it can hold just about any camera with the 1/4" screw there. So it's quite a good little
Very
piece
good.
of equipment to have.
Very good. Well, next we have the Sennheiser wireless microphone. Now, I can't show you them because they're attached to my good self, but you won't be hearing me if it wasn't for this. It's a very useful piece of equipment.
Yep, the Sennheisers are wireless microphones, as you can see here, attached to my person. They're used in situations like a TV studio setup and interview situations and things like that. So they'd be used in documentary more so than feature film. And they're actually used on a lot of stage productions like Broadway productions or things like that. They're quite sensitive. They have quite a large range, so they're sensitive to low voices and to loud voices. And they're transmitted through a wireless receiver. So on the box that Quilch is currently wearing, it'll have a receiver sticking out the end of it, which just gets sent up to the control room where the receiver picks it up, and we're controlled through there by our lovely sound person. So they're very handy little things to have. They can be expensive, but
What would be a couple of hundred?
yeah, you're looking at a couple of hundred for them. But if you're into documentary filmmaking or interview setups, things like this, it's a must-have to have some sort of wireless setup with your microphones. And the Sennheisers, the SK100s, they do the job just fine.
Well, Maureen, thank you very much
No
for
problem.
joining me and going through
Anytime.
all the equipment.
Okay.
Make your way. Thank
you.
you very much. So next up, we caught up with Connor Armstrong Stanfy and an interview with his new film Lift, which he just premiered last week. And we caught up with him during the week, so please take a look.
So we have Connor Armstrong Stanfy here, the director of his most recent feature film, the first one here, called Lift, written by Keelan Ryan. First of all, huge congratulations on that.
Oh, thanks very much.
So anyway, can you tell us more about it and what got you interested in the story itself and why you picked it to direct?
Yeah, well, it would have been about 2.5 years ago. I wanted to do my first feature film, and we actually, I got my friend Keelan to come on as a writer, and we were actually working on a different script, which was sort of a Naked Gun type cop film, and it just wasn't working. It just wasn't really going anywhere. So Keelan rang me one day and was like, have you any other ideas? Because I can't get my head around this one. So just went through my idea notebook and had just stuck in a lift written down there. So he immediately became interested in that, went away, rang me a few hours later. He had the plot worked out, and then we spent the next 1.5 years sort of developing the script.
And what was the experience like for you directing the first feature film?
That was great. Stressful as fuck. I shouldn't curse for it, should I? Yeah, no, it was stressful, but no, it was great. You learn so much just by doing. That was great.
Did you find yourself involved, like juggling a lot of roles as a leader in terms of pre-production especially?
Yes, and I micromanage apparently.
Okay.
So no, I had Bill and Stephen, who are our production coordinator and production manager. So they were arranging, locations and stuff, and I had to oversee everything on the production side, insurance, contracts, casting, crewing. But yeah, I have to learn how to delegate better because I took on too much. But
Okay, yeah.
you
And how about on the day as well? Did you concentrate more on working with the actors, or was it?
Oh no, on the day I
Concentrating?
had to just direct, and I kept saying along to everybody, when it gets to a month beforehand, I can't be worrying about contracts or release forms. I have to
Yeah.
be just focusing on the actors. That didn't work, but on at least on the day I was just focusing on directing. You have to.
Yeah, definitely. Would you consider yourself more the actor's director or technical as well? I mean, were you also directing the shots and cinematography as well as the actors, or was it just the actors and their performance?
But you have to do both. You have to do both. But I've always, coming from an acting background myself, I've always been an actor's director. So that's what I like to do, is working with the actors.
Okay, so what came first? Acting then, obviously, yeah? And then your interest in behind the scenes?
Yeah, well, I did drama for 11 years. Did my teaching diploma. I do a bit of teaching as well, acting to camera, acting for stage. Did about 5 years of directing plays. At the same time as doing film, I like to do both. So I was always interested in the acting side, but I always preferred the other side of the camera.
Would you consider it as a necessity to go to film school now to get into the screen side of directing or any kind of production nowadays, or is it more useful to go on set and gain experience there?
Yeah, I mean, there seems to be a big argument in the film industry. Should you go to film college? Should you not? Is it a waste of time? Should you just go out on sets, just make your own films? I'd be of the opinion you should go to film college. There's a certain amount of technical stuff you have to learn, the basics, which would probably be covered in first year. But you meet people that then become your crew, and you meet people the same age. Before film college, I was making films with, kids in my estate, and they were terrible, and they were just my friends, but they had no interest in the thing. So no, it is beneficial, but while you're in college, you should definitely get out on some shoots and do it yourself as well. So I'd say a mix of the two, but I wouldn't be against film college.
Okay. And you did mention before that you were always interested in kind of behind the camera as well when you were doing acting. What got you interested particularly into directing, as opposed to any other side of
I produce as well.
You produce as well.
I produce as well. What got me into directing? I suppose working with actors. I love the process of acting. So I love working with actors, getting them to develop their roles. I feel if you're going to be a director, you should have some acting experience yourself, because it's bloody hard to be an actor. And at the end of the day, a film comes down to a good script and good actors. And, you can shoot 4K, 6K resolution. Audiences don't care. We shot in 2K resolution, but, audiences don't care. They want a good story with good acting. And I'll never understand these big budget films, 200 million. And you go in and, the special effects, cinematography is amazing. Yeah. Crap acting.
Yeah.
Crap acting.
Invest in acting.
Yeah, come on. Whether it's a drama or a superhero film, the acting needs to be good and believable. So that's the area I really like to work in.
Okay, so it's obviously like a huge part of making it believable and realistic.
Yeah.
In the story, yeah.
And I think it helps because I know how hard it is to act. So it helps sympathizing with actors, so and building up a bond with the actors.
Yeah.
So.
And what qualities make a good director from overall perspective? Because you did mention someone should definitely have acting background or some kind of understanding in terms of acting.
I mean, you don't have to have done acting for 10 years like I did, but at least attend an acting class.
Yeah.
Try it yourself. You'll probably hate it, but you'll have an appreciation for what they do. What other qualities? Patience. You have to make the set fun. You have to, especially on this film, people were working for free. The actors were working for free. The crew were working for free. So what are they doing? They're giving up their time to you for your film for free. So you have to try and make it fun, beneficial to the crew, make them all feel involved in the process. Make it fun, if you can.
Yes.
Like I did a little cameo in Lift one day. It was a very long day, and we were in the Capel building. You were there. And it was upstairs, and do you remember it was really hot?
Yeah.
It was roasting upstairs, and the crew were knackered, absolutely knackered. I was knackered, but doing little things like the little cameo, got a laugh out of the crew. Trying to keep things jolly, say hi to everybody. Just.
So that's obviously also a huge part of making it work anyway as a team.
Yeah.
To make sure everyone is happy.
Yeah, filmmaking is a
kind of
team.
falls on you as director, probably.
Well, yeah. If the film's great, you're going to get all the credit. If the film sucks, you're going to get all the blame. And the producer, but I'm both. So, but no, like filmmaking is the most collaborative form of art.
Yeah.
So you have to be a good listener. You have to listen to people and realize that their ideas are probably better than yours. So just take the best ideas and you'll get credit for them. But
that's a really great point.
you will. You'll get the credit, but listen to everyone's suggestions, find something positive in them, and take the best ideas. Actually, I would say, thinking about it now, I think the best thing to be is just a listener. Listen to people and take their suggestions. Listen to the camera guy, he knows more about it than you do. Listen to the actors, they know more about their character than you do. Take the best ideas, put them together.
Perfect, yeah. So in terms of this being your first feature, how did you go about when you started? How did you go about funding it and literally starting off with the process?
Yeah.
Did you know the producer beforehand?
Well, myself and Keelan produced it.
Yeah.
And we had William Collins, who's an executive producer. But I essentially put most of the money in. We did a online campaign, which raised about 3,000, I think, out of the 25,000 budget, which was a big help.
Yeah.
Big help. For your first film, you've just got to do it. You've got to just do it. But I have a lot of directors that come to me with scripts that they want to direct and they ask me to produce. And I had this a couple of years ago with a guy who wanted to do his first feature. And he wanted to do it on 5,000 max. He wanted to do it for less. And I just in the end, I walked away because I was like, you can't do it. You need a certain amount of budget. There's no point in spending €5,000 on a feature and it looking crap and not getting you any recognition or so I really think you need a decent budget, and that's the first question I ask anybody now if they want me to produce their feature. Have you a decent budget? And I consider a decent budget 10,000-15,000 upwards depending on the script. But like we had a decent budget, 25,000. I mean, it's considered the film industry consider anything under $1.5 million a micro budget. So this would be like a nano budget. But all the money went on what you see on screen. So we had a really good camera, the Arri Alexa, one of the best cameras in the world. We only shot for 10 days. It was incredibly well planned. So we had really good equipment, but only for 10 days. So that sort of stuff, and a guard, a car, ambulance adds production value. Whereas behind the scenes could be chaos, and usually is.
Okay, so you did mention how important it is for the film to be seen. What about Lift itself? What's going on now and after everything?
Well, we had a private screening last week. Went very well. Very good reaction. We've entered it into all the festivals. So that's another thing. If people coming out of film college, I find they tend to do shorts all the time, which is fine. And I think the film board give you 85,000 for a short, which is an obscene amount of money. But you should really do a feature. I have great respect for anyone who wants to do a feature, because a short, you're not going to make your money back. The best case scenario, you can win an Oscar now for shorts, but the chances of that happening are zilch, let's be honest, because there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of good shorts. So, okay, you make a short, you get into Galway, might get into a few festivals, and then what? Nobody's going to hand you a pile of money to do a feature. At least do a feature. There are so many avenues now. Netflix, DVD release, you can make a fortune on DVDs, cinema release. There's just more options for a feature. So,
what advice would you give students who are going into the film industry and starting completely on zero level?
For after college or when they're in college?
Say about fourth year. We're nearly graduated.
Nearly graduate. Get out on as many shoots as you can. Just, there's so many indie films being shot. If you go into Film Network Ireland, you'll get jobs, not paid, but you'll get to be on set, get the experience. And if you do want to direct, save up and save up for, I think I saved up for 3 years, and build up a decent budget and just do it.
And how do you juggle yourself the fact that, when you say get out on sets, and even if it's unpaid, how do you juggle of actually making a living and surviving while doing all those projects where you kind of have to be available at any time when they call you?
Well, that's tricky. I do a bit of teaching, which brings in income for me. But I mean, it's tricky.
So you manage your own time as self-employed, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, it's easier for camera people or sound people, 'cause they can just go from job to job. Directors, producers, you have to really just make your own work. So do your feature, get it out there and get some recognition, and hopefully get funding for the next one.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming in today, Conor.
Thanks a million.
Thanks for watching the show, and tune in next time for the filming show. That's it for today, so thanks very much.